We are Sorted, a group of mates who have your back when it comes to all things food. From cooking battles to gadget reviews
it's not worth it.
and cookbook challenges to a midweek meal packs app.
Crack your eggs, bake.
We uncover the tools that'll help us all cook and eat smarter. Join our community where everything we do starts with you.
Hello everyone, this is Ben, I'm Mike, welcome to Fridge Cam.
Now in this episode we team up with CropLife International and the European Crop Protection Association to celebrate one of the world's most staple ingredients, the potato.
And I tried to beat this chef in a cook-off. Wish me luck.
All too often, we take for granted the huge range of ingredients that we can grab from our local supermarket. With thousands of fresh products stocked in a single store, we've been spoilt for choice all year round. But what would happen if our fruit and veg disappeared from shelves? Luckily for us, farmers are committed to producing food in ever-challenging times and conditions. And there are organisations like ECPA and CLI who help these farmers protect their crops from pests and diseases. So we all have an affordable, healthy and sustainable food supply. Without any protection, in a normal year, some farmers could lose up to 40% of their crop. In this episode, we use your questions to dig in and find out about our favourite crop, the aforementioned potato. Then battle it out to see if Mike, that's me, can beat the chef, that's Ben, in creating a dish that best celebrates the spud.
Boys, so you have 90 minutes to celebrate potatoes.
Chef James is ready and prepped to judge your dishes at the end. Shall we get going?
But first, to research, we met with Angela Clutton, one of London's finest food historians and writers. Along the way, we found out that the first makings of a potato dish goes back to 3000 BC in South America.
There was evidence of them doing amazing things. There's a dish called chuno, which is probably terrible pronunciation, and it would be frozen overnight and then soaked and then stamped on to get all the water out and then dried. And so basically that's like a freeze-dried potato in 3000 BC. I know, it's mad. And so that was showing that then potatoes are thought of being something which is really useful, versatile crop, worth doing something with to kind of protect. Exactly.
We also discovered that us Europeans weren't too keen on these strange spuds when they first arrived.
They were really thought of as being either something that's going to make you ill or something that very much just for the poor. And you have this very interesting thing happening in France in the middle of the 18th century, middle 1700s, that they were banned for human consumption because they were thought they were going to kind of make people ill. They didn't really understand what it was, this thing that came out from under the earth, and so they thought it was like the devil's work, which is kind of behind the phrase, devil's apple.
Lastly, we learned all about the potato famine in Ireland because of blight, a fungal disease which has affected the production of potatoes over the years.
Blight is a form of mould that attacks potatoes and it causes them to wilt and rot, and the potato itself becomes all mushy and horrible, and it spreads really, really quickly. So when blight appeared in crops across Europe in 1800s, it absolutely kind of decimated potato crops. In Ireland, it was particularly bad. The potatoes had really become, for the Irish, the food that they relied upon. And so the Irish potato famine was a huge disaster and led to a million deaths.
Next, we travelled to sunny Eindhoven to see how a particular farmer deals with blight today. Jacob Van Den Borne is a tall Dutch potato farmer who was once described as the Elon Musk of potatoes. Jacob taught us all about precision farming and how he uses technology and data to maintain a sustainable food supply.
My grandfather only had 2 or 4 hectares. He walked those 2 or 4 hectares every single day. We scaled up a lot, so we run hundreds of hectares of potatoes, and I'm not able to get to every field every day to walk all those fields. So what we did was actually use technology, put into those fields to get the same data out that my grandfather used to optimize his crop. So the first thing that we do is we scan all the fields, and by scanning the connectivity of the field, we're gonna get an idea of the yield potential of a field. The late blight disease, that's a fungi, is really aggressive over here because there is a lot of potatoes. So usually potatoes got sprayed every week, on a weekly basis, every Monday or every Tuesday. So we installed a lot of sensors in our crops, and we're actually detecting and calculating when the weather climate is optimal to infect our crop. And just before that point, we spray. I always compare that by putting on suntan. So if you would spray your potatoes on Monday and you know and only the sun is going out at Thursday. Would that make sense to put suntan on Monday?
Nope.
So that's what we changed. We protect all crops with just a layer of anti-fungi. So when the fungi comes up and drops on the leaves, it can burn my leaves or it can infect. That's why I always try to make the comparison with putting suntan on. But we only spray when needed, and that's where all the technology comes in.
Ben had a great time geeking out about spuds, whilst I was rather distracted by the local talent.
Hello? All this geeky tech, and you're more interested in the ass in the corner.
Potatoes is a crop that could probably grow everywhere in the world and can fix our food demand. It has such a high yield potential, it has such a high nutrients potential, that with growing potato crops you literally could feed the world.
And now, for the battle.
3, 2, 1, potato.
Right.
Oh, the little beat me to the microwave, which actually puts my whole recipe 10 minutes behind. And it's going to be a struggle anyway.
Ebbers, tell us what you're cooking.
I'm cooking a really hearty, humble dish of potato inspired by Stomp, which was Jacob's favourite classic
Musical.
Dutch dish.
Oh.
So what I'm doing is taking those ingredients but adding in a Spanish influence as a nod to those who brought the potato to Europe back in the history times.
Okay, so I am making steak, chips, horseradish and gravy. But the really clever thing is that actually all of those individual components are potatoes. So I've taken a Whopper, I've halved it, I've shaved it, peeled it, some would say. Then I've seasoned it heavily in salt and pepper. Now I'm slowly frying it in beef dripping to take on all that steaky, beefy flavour.
So the base of my dish is going to be a kind of potato and kale soup with chorizo. So an onion diced and sweated off in oil, then add in chopped garlic, some chorizo, and then I've gone in with peeled and roughly chopped potato. I'm using the Melody potato because it's particularly good for boiling and mashing, so it's going to thicken the soup. Then chicken stock, bring it to boil and simmer it for about 15 minutes until those potatoes are cooked. Interesting you've gone for Maris Piper, Mike, for all of yours. Bit of an all-rounder.
Yeah, they are an all-rounder, but they also are really fluffy and take on a lot of flavour. And so actually, that's why they make such good mashed potato, but they would also make a really good steak because they take on all my beef dripping. So most popular potato in the UK, that's good enough for me. Let's celebrate UK cooking in a medium that we can actually be world class at.
Feels to me like they actually earn quite a lot on their Jolly to Wine Table.
A little bit jealous because whenever I go to the supermarket, I look at the selection in front of me and I go, I don't know what's what and what is best for.
Yeah.
I just pick the one in the middle, the mid-range one.
Yeah.
This is really useful information.
They have browned nicely on each side, in with beef stock, crushed garlic, some thyme and rosemary.
These skins are super important, not just in the storage, but also from a nutritional point of view. So, I'm gonna cook them. Squished between 2 sheets of baking paper and doused in garlic powder, smoked paprika, salt and pepper flavoured butter.
These have been in the microwave. They've baked off for a little bit less than I'd prefer, but I don't have the time. So now I'm going to halve them, scoop out the flesh, that goes into a bowl, gets seasoned, and then I'm going to make mash out of that with butter that I've melted in milk. Season your potatoes with 18 twists of salt and 26 twists of pepper and half of your horseradish. If I want to get this pomme puree perfect, I can't overwork it because it will go starchy and gloopy and rubbish. The best way to do that is mash it as little as possible and then just leave it. I'm going to take the skins and I'm going to slice them into shoestring fries and then fry them off.
What you're doing there is you're redefining the term skinny chips.
I've whipped my potato steaks out of my sauce. I'm now going to reduce that right down to make a slightly stickier sauce. I'm going to use my gravy right at the end. I am going to also use a demi-glace, but we'll get to that in a sec.
So look, you can see the texture of this mash. By microwaving it, it doesn't take on the moisture that it would if you boiled it. Inside of the skins, it's now just beautiful and fluffy. To that, I'm going to add chopped parsley, the morcilla, which is the seasoned black blood sausage pudding, and some butter. And then we'll shape it into our sausages. So far, timing-wise, all is good. Everything's in control. And I think it tells a nice story.
You see, you said one time
It's a
only.
one-time thing.
No, I said if I get it right. Unfortunately, I didn't get it right straight away. So now, every time I go, I make it less good.
You know wallpaper paste, don't you?
Yeah.
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 So soup bubbling away, and what I'm looking for is the potato that is cooked through, so even just with the side of a spoon it's going to break up, because I'm going to add the kale, cook for 3 or 4 minutes, and then blend the whole lot. But you want to blend it while that kale is just cooked so it keeps its green colour. So my aioli is an egg yolk and some sherry vinegar, which I'm then going to whisk with salt and pepper and gradually add in the rapeseed oil. Then right at the end, I'm going to season it with the saffron water that obviously has been steeped in boiling water, lemon juice, and the honey. And it's about balancing that sweetness with the metallicness of the saffron and the tartness of lemon and cherry vinegar.
I've got some veg oil that I've brought up to 180 degrees. Now I'm going to deep fry my potato steak.
What is it?
That comes back up to 180 and then I deep fry my fries as well.
My third potato choice is the Red Rooster. This is another British potato grown in Norfolk.
So Ebbers, how are you going to cook your Red Rooster potatoes in 16 minutes and 41 seconds?
I'm not going to lie, I've been taking this really casual and it's beginning to catch up with me. For nothing more than the internet points, I'm going to use a kitchen gadget. See, Mike spent ages cutting shoestring potatoes. Oh! Joke's on you! Rappy wrap wrap. It needs to be careful in a single layer so that it cooks.
He's mummifying his sausages. If that oil isn't at temperature, then Ben may have lost his battle.
I'm now boiling some chard in some salted water for about 5 minutes. They're just the stalks at the moment, but then I'm going to chuck in the leaves because they need less, obviously.
Mate, you finished with that now. What are you doing now?
Cooking it again.
Now this is going to reduce down almost immediately and create a really, really sticky glaze. Do not want it to be in there too long in case it becomes overcooked.
Excellent.
It does just look like the phrase, you can't polish a turd, but you can wrap it in shoestring fries.
Battle-winning excellence.
You know that mashed potato that you're only supposed to mash once?
Yeah, he's mashed it 4 times now.
I'm going to finish off my dish with pea shoots, broccoli shoots and some edible flowers as a nod to when potatoes were made chic again in France by offering potato blossom flowers to Marie Antoinette to put in her hair because they thought potatoes were bad and ugly and disgusting, and actually it made it more of a celebration again. So I'm going to finish with that. I just need to get it on a plate. Blended up the soup, added another cup of water just to get it the right consistency, but it should be thick and hearty and wholesome.
2 minutes left.
One time only. He's mashed it again.
All of a sudden, you're running out of time. There is 1 minute left.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step away from your potatoes. Congratulations, boys. 90 minutes, a celebration of potatoes. They're looking great.
They look great.
Oh,
I'm gonna say
you were looking
this
at that
looks
one when you
very
said
good.
that.
Should we start here?
Yeah?
I'm so intrigued by the steak.
So what's the steak supposed to feel like?
I want it crispy on the outside and sticky from the glaze. I want it soft in the middle, but not too soft, not fluffy. I want it to have some give. But I want it to have taken on some of that steak flavour.
Okay, some beefy flavour.
Some beefy flavour, yeah.
Wow.
It had to, no?
Yeah.
I'm going to admit, I was a little bit sad when I saw the plate.
Yeah, it wasn't, I would have liked to have
flavour is
plated it
great.
better, but I was...
Did you run out of time?
No, I was flapping like a mofo, that's why.
It's got all the textures you want. The pommes puree is a really, really good texture, and the flavour of the steak is really good. Should we move on?
So crispy.
Oh, I went for the burnt one that you hid in the middle.
I want to have some of this. That is a glossy aioli. As celebration dishes go, I think that looks like a celebration.
Changing the coating from being a penne to being the fries around it is really interesting. I really like that.
I think the aioli in the soup would work really nicely.
There's still time.
On top. Oh,
Don't let
I'm
me
doing
stop
it. I've
you.
already had a little bit of aioli in the soup.
Two completely different dishes, both celebrating potatoes in completely different ways.
Oh, this is so difficult. When I first saw it, Ben stood out so much. But when I tasted Mike's, the flavour was there. It made up for it. I'm gonna go with Mike. Because it was just, it crept up, and although Ben's I think had more of a variety of flavour compared to yours, because yours really was like just potato and beefiness. I think yours just packed a punch.
You beat the chef with a lot of help from the food team.
That's not a nice position to be in. It probably was half to do with the fact that I was so upset by the plating and so happy to find that it actually tasted amazing that you added an extra element of wow.
Well done. Well done, sir. Thanks. Wow! Not only the result, but love a potato.
Love a
Unbelievable.
potato. And if you enjoy potatoes, or you want to find out more about what CropLife International and ECPA get up to protect crops for the future, then there's a link in the description box. Go and check it out. And it includes some behind the scenes footage from when we were over speaking to Jacob.
Now, neither of us have got kids, but we both got dad bods. Here's a dad joke.
I had to turn down a job the other day because they were paying in vegetables. The celery was unacceptable.
Oh. I never thought I'd say the phrase bring back Jamie, but I may do that. We've also built the Sorted Club, where you can get tons of foodie inspo using the Pax Midweek Meal app, discover and share restaurant recommendations using the Eat app, listen and contribute to our Feast Your Ears podcast, and send us ideas for new cookbooks you'll receive throughout the year. Check it all out by heading to sorted.club. And now a blooper. Donkey! Donkey! All the ladies love me.